Part of what I love about this speech is the way in which it mixes the two registers we have in English. The words that come prior from the pre-Norman conquest, which happened in 1066, these words are Germanic, and they tend to be monosyllabic, direct, and sometimes very tough. Anglo-Saxon words have a sense of finality, and they connect us to the earthy things that come to us from the life world. The second register is that of French and Latin, which came to England after the Norman conquest. And these words are multisyllabic, and they're often conceptual. They are optimistic words in the sense that they say there are concepts that might help us bring together something as complicated as a republic. And I think these two key signatures are things that we expect our politicians to know how to understand and master. Abraham Lincoln learned these two key signatures from reading Shakespeare and the King James Bible. Those two documents, which were so formative in the language that English speakers still speak today, taught English speakers how to mix those two registers and how to move in between those two keys. So from the opening sentence of this speech, fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth. Those are all words from the pre-Norman conquest. They're direct and they're short. And then he switches to a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. He moves to the concepts, the words get longer, and what started out as direct and earthy is now starting to soar. We know that Lincoln read carefully Shakespeare and the King James Bible, and that's where he got some of his sense of rhythm and structure, but also that sense of how to mix these two kinds of English. And it's something that he brought to the speech, which is full of that sense of history and also that sense of occasion. Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause, for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.